welcome to Gentle Yoga. We're gonna work with 2 blocks and a blanket today. And we're gonna start working into our upper back and shoulders a bit. So if you don't mind, take your blanket and roll it up in a really nice tight roll. If you're at home and you want to do something similar, you can often use a towel, like a long bath towel, but you just want it to be nice and tight. And also at home, you can even use your yoga mat to do this because you don't have to have a yoga mat for this very first part of the class. So you're gonna set the blanket roll up, something like this, and bring your bum all the way to the very back of the blanket roll. I like to lean back starting with my feet flat and my knees pointed up towards the sky. And then you're gonna roll back, rest your head on the blanket, and let your arms go off to the sides. I wanna offer a couple of quick variations. So for some of you, this might be uncomfortable in your low back because it encourages a pretty deep curve. And if that's the case, then you can simply sit on the very front of the blanket, roll, and then lean back. The only thing is that then sometimes your head comes up off the blanket like mine just did, in which case you can grab one of your blocks and place it under your head. So something like this. Now the arms are going to go out to what I call cactus arms. Elbows should be close to touching the floor, almost touching the floor. And if you feel a little bit of a stretch, then definitely stay here. And if you don't feel anything on either side, then creep your arms up like you're about to raise your hand to ask a question. As you creep the arm up, pause and stop before your elbow lifts up off the floor. So you stay at the place where the elbow's still on the floor. Or if your elbow's not touching the floor when you're at 90 degrees, this is the 90 degrees cactus arms, then you want to just stay right there. Allow your eyes to close, or if you're feeling restless, just look towards the end of your nose. You might even rest your knees one on the other. Taking a full breath, reset your nervous system with a big old exhale. Start to turn your head slightly right, slightly left. Letting the neck relax. Creating space between your top teeth and your bottom teeth. So a little bit of slack in the jaw. Find stillness again with your head and neck. And imagine smoothing out any wrinkles between your eyebrows. Staging our yoga practice the way we might stage Shavasana. Becoming completely aware of the support from gravity, of any tension that we might be holding in the body without consciously knowing it. We do the simplest Dirga breath, which is 3-part breathing. You can think of it as belly, low ribs, and upper chest. As you inhale, it's like you're filling a bucket with water. And as you exhale, it's like you're siphoning off the water. The upper chest softens, the ribs soften, the belly drops back. And there's no right or wrong speed or tempo. The idea is that we simply pay attention, which usually slows it down. We aim for depth of the inhale and completeness of the exhale. As long as you're not too congested, breathe in and out through your nose completely. Just steady, no need for sounds. You get to keep your eyes a little bit closed or fully closed. Reach up overhead, reaching arms by your ears, not towards the ceiling, but by your ears. And just reach long on one side like you're yawning, and reach long on the other side like you're yawning. If you get any pinching in your shoulders as you do this, you can go out into a big old V shape so that you don't get that pinching. And then everybody take your arms right out to the sides, like just make a T, as in the letter T with your arms, and draw your right knee to your chest. You'll do that with the muscles of the legs, not so much with the arms just now. And I want you to feel the mid-back come onto the blanket if it was ever not touching. Try to get your mid-back, that's the space at the bottom of your ribs right there, and roll a little side to side. The arms will prevent you from rolling off. And set your right foot down and draw your left knee in. And again, feel the mid-back. You might have to do almost like the microscopic crunch. Draw your tailbone long, knee in with the muscle of the leg, and then a little bit of a rock side to side, trying to massage both between the shoulder blades and the middle of the back. And then finally, pressing the outer hands down so the palms are up. If you feel comfortable, draw both knees to the chest. Now, if that feels a little too crazy and you're about to fall off, then just keep one foot down and switch sides one more time. If you've got both knees in, you can do a little side to side on your blanket with your hips, really almost massaging the middle of your back. Try pulling your right hip towards your right elbow, and then left hip towards your left elbow, all the while doing this tiny little crunch in your belly. And then stretch your legs straight out on the yoga mat. Arms straight out overhead. Pull the muscles of the low ribs in. Rock a little side to side. And just support yourself with your arms as you roll up off the blanket. Press up to a seated position. And come onto hands and knees. Feel free to support your knees with your blanket. Settle your hands down, and it almost never hurts unless you have actual pain in your toes. It almost never is a bad thing to curl your toes under, meaning the toenails are up and the base of the toes is touching down towards the floor. We're going to take a cat and cow, really, really simple cat and cow. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, round up towards the sky. Inhale, heart forward. And exhale, round it up. As you round, try to pull your lowest ribs towards the ceiling, like there's a string going all the way up towards the ceiling from your low ribs. And as you arch your back and you come to your back bend, try to pull your chest forward as far as you can. So your shoulders do kind of an isometric pull back, like you're digging a little hole in with the heels of your hands. Draw your knees all the way to touch one another. Keep your toes curled under, and grab a hold of your blanket and put it on top of your thighs now. So maybe even roll it up a bit like we did in the beginning, so that it goes under your low ribs. You can use your block also to rest your forehead on. And this particular variation of child's pose is going to open up the middle of your back and your toes and your feet. So find a comfortable height of the block. It can be the low or the middle position. And let your head get heavy, let your elbows get heavy. See if you can feel breath in the back of your body. So the blanket is specifically designed to prevent you from doing too much belly breathing, because there is a little bit of a thing called too much belly breathing. Feel the expansion in your kidneys, in your low back. Stay there for about 5 more breaths. Your next inhale. Rise up, set your blanket off to the side or use it under your knees again if you'd like. We're gonna go right back to table pose. And this time, sweep your right arm to the sky. Exhale, dive under and come into the outer right shoulder if that's comfortable. There might be somebody who's more comfortable just on the elbow, which is also really, really nice spinal twist in the upper back. But if you come onto the outer shoulder, it's a bit more restful, and you can use your left hand to push you deeper into this twist. So walk your left hand right in front of your face. Make your left elbow point towards the ceiling. And press in slightly so you deepen the twist. Good, press into the left hand. Come back to center, I'll spin around, and we'll do the other side. So again, you have the option to pause and stay on your left elbow, or to come all the way down to the outer left shoulder, press into your right hand and spin, spin, spin towards the sky. Use that right hand directly in front of the face so that you're getting your shoulder mobility and your thoracic spine mobility. And inhale by pushing into the right hand, the one that's in front of your face, right back to center. And just walk your arms out and reach back. You can stay on your fingertips to get a little bit of shoulder opening right here under the armpits. Try to curl your fingers in so that your hands look like little spiders on the floor. This is great for building the intrinsics within your hands, the finger strength, basically. And then shift forward. Root your hands into the floor. Notice that my hands are as wide as the yoga mat. You're welcome to go wider than the yoga mat if you need to. You might also, in some circumstances, want to go more narrow. So you're going to lower your elbows, your forearm down. Maybe lower your forehead down. Or if it doesn't bother your neck, bring your chin to the floor. This is called Anahatasana. Anahata is the heart chakra. If you get any pinching in the shoulders, hands go wider or thumbs to the sky. Nice full breath here. Let's shift all the way forward to the belly. I'm going to take the blanket out of the way. So once you're in your belly, bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders and push the floor away a little bit here. So this is a really important shoulder stability action to be able to push down and forward. And we're going to take it into a little bit of cat and cow here. So you'll exhale And look towards your navel or towards your chest. And try to round your mid-back towards the sky. Your thighs and your pelvis will stay down. Inhale, look forward. Push the floor wide, pull your heart forward. Exhale and round. So the rounding should feel like the sweetest, gentlest core work that you could possibly do. And the exhale should feel like, almost like you could keep yourself there, even if you didn't have your elbows on the floor. You could squeeze your shoulder blades back mostly, and you'd be in that hands-free cobra shape. So inhale, forward. I might have gotten the inhale and the exhale backwards a moment ago, but you get to choose which one you want to do when. And then exhale and push the floor away and look at your belly, keeping your thighs on the floor, back of the neck long, head heavy. 3 more rounds at your own pace. As I look to the belly, I'm really pushing the floor. I'm really pulling my ribs up. And as I look forward, I'm really digging an imaginary hole with my elbows and squeezing my shoulders back. And as you reach forward with your chest, walk your elbows back a little bit more. Press up through an elbow down table pose. Walk your knees in a little bit. Curl your toes back. Reach your hips back towards your heels. Hands are now shoulder distance apart. Fingers curl into the floor. We're going to go into downward facing dog. But if you think about it, you're already in downward dog from your fingertips to your hips. So all we have to do to get up is straighten the legs. Shift your hips a bit side to side. Shake your head out. This is quite important in downward facing dog. Just shake your head out, let the head get really, really heavy and relaxed, but still keep an effort of pushing the floor away. So it's good when you reach your arms overhead to have the shoulder blade rotate upward a bit. So pushing the floor away, head and neck relaxed, and then walk your hands all the way back towards your feet. It's a bit different than what you might commonly do in a yoga class. Bend your knees once you get your hands back there. Or catch hold of the elbows. I want you to shake your head really massively, left and right, and nod it up and down. And you can imagine just letting the weight of your head traction your spine. Aim to get your belly as close as possible to your thighs. And even, let's switch the position of our hands. Take your hands right and interlace them and bring them to the very base of the head. And just almost use the weight of the arms, not an active pulling, but just the simple weight of the arms to create more length in your spine. Good, walk it right back out to downward facing dog. Again, shaking out your head. And then inhale, right leg reaches towards the sky. And exhale, draw your right knee towards your right wrist. Settle your hips back so that you're in the very beginning of a pigeon pose. And I want you to stack your block to the tallest position. Pull your belly in and dive your head forward to the block so your legs are active. You're scooping this front musculature right at the bottom ribs. And try to go hands-free here. What this is doing is it's working on hip stability, it's working on scapular stability, and it's working on the stabilizing of the front body. It's actually trickier than it looks to hold. Root your hands down, look forward, pull the chest forward into just a gentle pigeon, not the craziest version you've ever done. Curl your back toes under, lift your knees, step it back down and facing down. Left leg rises to the sky for three-legged dog. Inhale. Exhale, draw your knee in towards your nose, draw your knee towards your left wrist. And then settle your back knee down to the floor. You're gonna push your two knees towards one another, so that's gonna activate all the underside muscles here. You're gonna draw the belly in, exhale, and dive forward so your forehead rests. You can keep your fingertips on the floor if you need to, but if possible, go hands-free. Try to squeeze the shoulder blades back. Turn the palms towards the floor, thumbs out to the walls. And exhale, totally release. Root your hands, pull the chest forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lower to your knees. Use your blanket under your knees if you'd like. And take a moment to come up to a tall kneeling position. So we're going to practice just for a moment. Working with a really simple functional movement. It's not necessarily yoga, but it's a really good thing to practice and make sure you have stable in your body. So you're going to shift your weight over to your left knee from kneeling, and just as slow as you can, step your right foot in front of you. And as slowly as you can, step your right foot back, knees together on the blanket. And shift your weight onto your right knee. Step your left foot slowly in front of you. And as slowly as you can, step the left foot back. Take the right foot forward again. Hands to your front knee. And exhale into cat pose here. So what you're noticing, a pattern of our practice today, is breathing into and almost opening this low rib space. You can do it by activating the muscles at the front of the ribs. And it's contrary to what you'll sometimes see in yoga classes, where it's all about belly breathing, all about front body, and not engaging anything that might feel at all whatsoever like a crunch. So this does feel a little bit like a crunch. You are engaging a bit of rectus abdominis, your six-pack muscle, in order to pull your low ribs back. But it's in this really beautiful, holistic pursuit of getting the back ribs to broaden and our breath to easily move back there. And what's also really fun is you can do that kind of deep back breathing while pressing your pelvis forward. So try to keep I'm calling it the cat shape, but I'm sure I don't look anything like cat pose right now. But that energy of rounding, particularly in your mid-back, like you have a string from your mid-back to the wall behind you. And start to pulse the pelvis forward so that your legs are strong, you're not just hanging passively in a shape, but you're creating length at the front of the left hip. The reason why those two actions are really helpful is because sometimes in yoga we overemphasize ribs forward to the point where it actually tips our pelvis forward too. So being able to tip your pelvis back and pull the ribs back gets us sometimes, for some of us, in a better alignment. If this is hard for you, you might be one of those folks who could use a little bit. We're going to switch sides, so you can just take your right knee to the blanket and step your left foot forward. Bring your hands onto the left knee. And exhale, find your cat pose. And then sustain your cat pose inside of this lunge. And breathe into your low back, your mid back. Your kidneys are just hovering under the ribs. So if you can imagine breathing into that space. Obviously your lungs don't go down that far, but get a sense of broadening so that your ribs can move away from one another in the back body. And optionally add a pulsation, pressing forward and back, forward and back. One more breath here. Inhale up. And set both knees, root them both down to the blanket. Engage your glutes, press your pelvis forward a little bit, and hands to the hips, and lift your ribs away from the pelvis. You want to think of it like a periscope, lifting up, creating a longer waist. You can also bring your thumbs to your armpits, always fun, and lift your chest here. Squeeze your shoulders back, and come into a supported camel pose. So your head rests in your hands, your heart reaches up, pelvis is still pressing forward. Full breath. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower down, and grab hold of both of your blocks. We'll get a little bit into the soles of the feet a bit more, so I want you to try to get all of your toes under on the floor, and use your blocks to lift your knees. Now, if this is really uncomfortable on your knees, I do have one option for you. Otherwise, come up with something else. So you can take your blanket, roll it in about thirds, and put it in the space between your calves and your thighs. And that will take some of the pressure off the back and the knees, but it will make balancing a little bit harder. But that's also an option if your knees are bothered by this position. So try to enjoy toe balance. This is what it looks like without your hands. And if you need them, just keep your fingertips on the blocks. See if you can twist a little inside of toe balance. Use your hands if you need to. And then twist to the other side. Lower your knees right back down to the floor. Bring your blocks out in front of you. Hands to the blocks. Thighs are vertical. Find your Anahatasana. Again, there's energy through the arms. It's not totally passive, but I want you to let the head get really heavy. Maybe it will touch the floor, maybe it won't. But really feel this length, feel this gorgeous, gorgeous length through the body. Shift your hips a little side to side. Notice if one side is a bit tighter than the other. Press down into the hands. Rise up, settle your hands back under your shoulders. Go ahead and settle back to your heels. You can use your blanket again for a little bit of cushion for your knees if you'd like. We're going to reach our hands between the thighs and the calves, palms up. Tuck your chin, settle your head to the floor, and roll forward onto the crown of your head. If your elbows are really bent, like mine are right now, then you can rock back and catch hold of your ankles. Fingers point back and straighten. Or if you have a space, you can also catch the bottom of your feet. I usually feel a little bit constrained when I catch the bottom of the feet. So I like to grab ankles or even opposite wrist behind the thigh. Roll forward, spread the shoulder blades, take full breath into the back body. This is our rabbit pose. Gentle stimulation at the top of the head, super gentle inversion. Release completely. Settle the hips down, stack up vertebra by vertebra. We have one last kind of big pose for us. You're going to take your blanket and open it one level so that it's in the stored position. Set your blocks off to the side. And set your blanket all the way to the very edge of your yoga mat. I have a pretty dense yoga mat that doesn't fold super easily, so there's some ways to do this with lighter yoga mats where it sort of folds on top of the blanket, but it's actually not necessary. So all you want to do is make sure that the fringe part is towards your body, and as you lay down, that your head is actually off the blanket here. You can watch me a full round before you go up. We'll wait for the sirens to go by. You're gonna hop your hips into your hands and just snuggle your knees towards your nose. And you should feel completely free. I don't want you to move your neck or head too much, but you should feel very little weight in your head here. Your head's free to glide where it needs to go. And all you're doing is kind of pressing the shoulders back and feeling the back of the body stretch. And if you're super duper comfortable here, you can stretch one leg horizontal with the floor, parallel to the floor, and then the other, and curl your toes back towards your eyes. And you may even be comfortable moving towards plow pose, which is when the feet touch overhead. But you don't have to do that. You can do a really gentle version of a plow shoulder stand hybrid that looks like this. This is kind of that half shoulder stand. That's really powerful for opening up the mid-back. Be here for 2 to 3 more breaths. Just choose your own adventure, whatever shape you want to take on. At the end of your 3rd breath, you can walk your thighs down your hands down your thighs, or you can set your hands to the floor, straighten your legs, and try to slow motion. Come on down. That one always feels so good when you come out of it as well as when you're in it. Rest your knees one on the other for just a moment. And then scoot yourself all the way towards the middle of your yoga mat so that you're fully back on the yoga mat. And if you want to, you can keep your blanket right where it is. If you want to turn around, you can turn around as well. Draw your knees back into your chest. And then set your feet down. You're going to lift your hips up and all the way to the right side of your yoga mat. So you're in this really funky line here. Knees are coming back up, and then as your knees go to the left, you should be in a straight line for your twist. Let's come into a simple twist. Keep your knees as high as you can towards your elbows or towards your chest, and that will assure that you get that similar opening that we felt in the beginning of class. So the right arm, I'm going to come up into seated so you guys can see. The right arm is kind of in that cactus shape. If you stretch your arm out, that might also feel good. So find the angle that feels really good to you. And look towards your right. Inhale, bring your chin and your knees to center. And let's go ahead and lift your hips up again. So settle your feet to the floor, lift your hips up. You're going to take your hips all the way over to the left. Draw your knees all the way into your chest so that when your knees fall to the right, you end up in a straight line. And take either cactus arm on the left or arm straight out. Chin looks to the left. For anyone who has any neck discomfort, you can always rock your head a little side to side on the floor and just see if any muscles can turn off that are still holding on. Draw your chin back to center and your knees back to center. Draw your knees into your chest, rock a little side to side. And try to pull your shins or the back of your thighs or your ankles, whatever you can pull. Try to get your tailbone to rock up off the floor a little bit so that when you get into that deep stretch, you can feel it in the mid-back. So we're going to do a contract, relax technique to get really deep into Shavasana today. I want you to take a deep breath in. Exhale, curl your chin up, curl your tailbone up, hug your knees into your chest, into your tiny little ball, so the mid-back is the only thing touching the floor. Take a deep breath in and hold it for a couple seconds. And then when you're ready, totally relax and slap your feet and your hands to the floor, rock your head a little side to side, and just get fully, fully present. Imagine anchoring down through the deep into the sand, settling in, letting your breath breathe you, smoothing out the skin between the eyebrows, softening the expression on your face, allowing some space between the top teeth and the bottom teeth. Usually we seek lips together, jaws, teeth apart, or jaw apart. Become aware of the weight of all of your bones, the skull, the heels, the pelvic girdle, the elbows, the shoulders. Aware of the drape of your skin, the heavy weight of your skin over your bones, over your muscles. Become aware of your breath again and again, feeling the front, sides, and back of your body. Anytime your mind wanders, back to your breath. Aware of your inhale and your exhale.
any judgment, just notice if your mind has wandered at all away from this moment. Turn it to your inhale, your exhale. Start to wiggle perhaps your fingers or your toes. Just feeling the joy of being alive and present in your body. Your next inhale, stretch through the legs, stretch through the arms. Maybe beside your body, or overhead, or by your ears. Gently draw everything back to center. Hug in, rock a little side to side. And when you are ready, rock to one side completely. Press up to a comfortable seated position. Try to keep your eyes closed, but if you want to, you can reach around and grab a prop to get yourself extra cozy. Bring the thumbs to the third eye point. Kindness in all of the thoughts we think about ourselves, about each other, about this opportunity called life. We'll bring the thumbs to our lips for kindness in all the words we speak, again, to ourselves, to others, to this greater gift of presence. We'll bring the thumbs to the heart for, most importantly, kindness in our actions, for ourselves, for others, for our community at large. May all beings everywhere be happy